Welcome back to Mr. Ace Math. This is a lesson on angles. Some stuff you should know are what lines are and line segments. So make sure you know those and let's get started. So first of all, what are angles? Angles are formed when two lines meet at the same endpoint. And that endpoint that they meet at is called the vertex. So for example, this here is an angle. There's two lines that meet at a common endpoint, and that endpoint there is called the vertex. This here also, this is a line, that's a line. They meet at this common endpoint, which is also called the vertex. And this line over here and this line over here meet at this point, which is called this angle's vertex. There are four types of angles that you really need to know about. Although most teachers and textbooks use three major, I'm going to go into the fourth one, which you might not see. Okay, the angles are right angles, acute angles, obtuse angles, and straight angles. So right angles are exactly 90 degrees. It doesn't matter how you see them. We might see them with the right angles at the top. You might see them slanted. You might see them right side up. You might see them like this. There are tons of ways that you might see right angles. Don't get distracted by the way it actually appears. A key factor in determining whether or not an angle is a right angle, you'll see this right angle box here. It's very important to look for that. That box tells you that you have a 90-degree angle. So therefore, because it's 90 degrees, it's a right angle. Acute angles, all right? Acute angles are more than 0 degrees but less than 90 degrees. So let's start with a 90-degree angle. Okay, that's very important. This is the basic foundation of all angles, this 90 degrees here. Now, from that 90 degrees, it's any angle that's in between these two. If we make this the base of our angle, it has to be between these two lines. So what I mean is, here you have an acute angle because it's less than 90 degrees. Here's another acute angle. And here's another acute angle. It doesn't really matter where in between the 90 degrees it is. It can be 89 degrees where it's very, very close along where this is right here. It could be 1 degree where it's like really, really close over here. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's between 0 degrees and 90 degrees, it's an acute angle. Obtuse angles. Obtuse angles are more than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. Again, let's start with a right angle. It's basically between this line here and that line there, okay, where the base of the angle is over here. So for example, this here is an obtuse angle because we have a line here and it passes 90 degrees. Here's another example. Okay, it's actually a lot closer to 180 degrees. And here we have another example. This one's actually closer to being 90 degrees. But it still doesn't matter because it's still between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. And the straight angle. This is actually the angle that I referred to before that you might not get introduced to. And the reason why is because a straight angle is really just a line. It's a straight line. It's 180 degrees. So some teachers might refer to it as a straight angle. Like we have our straight angle here, and you can say the vertex is here. But it doesn't really matter because it's just a straight line. No matter how you see it, it's always going to have 180 degrees. So here's your pause and practice. Just pause and practice. When you're done, unpause the video. After a 3, 2, 1 countdown, your answers will be displayed. Go. Okay, so let's go over these. Number 1 is an acute angle. Number 2 is an obtuse angle. 3, you see that right angle box? It's a right angle. 4 is an obtuse angle. 5 is a straight angle. And 6 is an acute angle. A reflection. The formation created by two lines with a common endpoint is called an angle. There are how many major types of angles? Well, we discussed there were 4. An angle that has a measure of exactly 90 degrees is called a right angle. Very important. The right angle is the foundation of all of these angles. It helps us determine if the angle is more than 90 degrees, basically if it's larger than a right angle, or if it's less than 90 degrees, if it's an acute angle. An angle that has a measure that is more than 0 degrees but less than 90 degrees is called an acute angle. An angle that has a measure that is more than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees is called an obtuse angle. And an angle that has a measure that is exactly 180 degrees is called a straight angle. Remember what we said about straight angles. Straight angles might also be referred to as just lines, so don't expect it to be called a straight angle. It can go either way. And thanks for using Mr. Ace Math. Don't just pass math, ace it.